This video is going to talk about the InventoryDisplay program. You'll notice that there's two different versions of it, the regular full-fledged version and the salesman version, which shows less information. I'll get into that a little later. To get started, you just simply click the button and it automatically gives you a display by whatever the default display criteria is. The colors that you see in the display are meaningless. They're just so you can let your eye follow along each line. This would be a useful utility all by itself, but we can do a lot more things with it. If we hit the select criteria button, you see we get this screen here. And this screen allows us to do quite a number of things. This screen allows us to change the sort. By default, at the moment, the sort is with the stock number. But if we wanted to sort on car year, you simply click that button and then run the search. And so you can see here that the car year is now the main sort criteria. We can go back to sort criteria and change that to, let's say, make. Same thing. So now the make of the car. We can also filter things. Let's just say we only want to filter on Fords. So I'm going to click on this, go down here and find a Ford, and then click on the make checkbox and run that. So now you see we only see the Fords that are in our inventory. By default, we only show you the inventory information. If you go down here, you can see that we have several choices. I can show you the sold cars. So here are all the Fords that have been sold. Or if you want to see all the cars, uncheck this box and run the search, and here are all the cars that are both sold and still in inventory. You can see the ones that are in inventory that do not have a date in this column. These two items here represent the after buy date and the before buy date. These two items represent after the sell date and before the sell date. As I mentioned before, this item can select to just what's in inventory, what's only pending, or what's only sold, or if you uncheck this box, everything. This is the dealer suggested retail price. If you put a number in here, let's say 5,000, then these two little guys here say you're only interested in cars that are above or over here below this price. This item will show the cost plus reconditioning. This item will show the sold price, odometer coming in, body style. Minimum bid has to do with if you're using the auction facility. The location code is there. This column isn't real obvious. It says order. If there is a 0 in the column, then the item that is to the left will not print. A non-zero says it will print, and the value of the non-zero will show in which position it will print. So let's just say we want to show the buy date when it was bought. If I put a non-zero in here, let's put a 9 in, and then run the search. Now we see there's a few other funny little buttons here. This button here that says default will save the order of what's being displayed in the screen, so the next time it comes up, that's what you'll get. However, if you don't like any of that stuff and you want to go back to what was originally there, you check this box and click the button, and then it will come back to what Carousel thought was the right thing. So here we are, default. If I close it, you can see we're back to where we were originally. If you double click an item, like this, that will go in the clipboard. Once it's in the clipboard, you can take that item and paste it into the inventory program stock number or the deal program stock number, and you can display the information for that stock number without having to type it in. If we run the salesman version of the program, the default screen doesn't look any different, but when we look at the select criteria, you'll see that certain items are grayed out. Those items are confidential, and we don't want the salesman function to display them. Other than that, the salesman version of the program runs exactly the same as the full-fledged program. There are versions of this program in the inventory and deal programs. In the inventory program, you get the search function by clicking this button here, and up it comes, except that it's in blue background instead of a yellow background. The deal program lets you see that information by clicking this little question mark thing. And again, we have a lilac background, not a yellow background. By double-clicking an item in this thing, it immediately goes and puts that information into the deal screen stock number. So you can immediately access that stock number. I had mentioned earlier there's a way to default the sort. To do that, you click on the admin program, go to the defaults tab, and over here you'll see a thing that says inventory sort. I'm going to move this out of the way a bit because the tooltip extends beyond the side of the thing, and you can see on the right it says 10,000 to 90,000 inventory sort. The first significant digit, the 1 or the 2 or the 9, indicates which item is to be sorted, and you got to follow with 4 zeros. That's because you can also default the salesman inventory and the management inventory in different ways. There were some changes made to the screen and to the printing in January of 2021. In the previous versions, the color separation you see on the screen was defined by a command entry. This is something that's kind of awkward to do. So now there is a checkbox here that defines whether or not you see it in color or black and white. Check the box again, and the color comes back. This also affects how the printing will occur. If you display it in color and you have a color printer, then the printing will be in color. If you display it in black and white, then the printing will be in black and white. Of course, on a black and white laser printer, it's always going to be in black and white. Also, we provide a function for double spacing. If you click on that and run the search, you'll see that the display is now double spaced, and when it prints, it will be double spaced. This also shows us something else that I've added. We always had this header up here above. Now I have the header sitting here as the first line as well. That way, when the report gets printed, the header will show up. Previously, it did not. The landscape function always existed, but it was actually built into the print results button, and now it's a separate button. That only affects the printing. I had told you that the screen can be stretched, but one of the problems with stretching it was that the display did not change its font size. The reason for that is it was difficult to do. Well, I finally figured out how. So now if you stretch the screen and run the search again, you can see that the font size stretches along with it. The end result of that is that when you print it, you get the bigger font printed as well. So essentially the features that we've added are variable fonts, double spacing, and the ability to select the color or not color from the entry screen. You should be aware that a lot of these same reports can be run in the admin program. The 5000 series and 6000 series of the admin program displays inventory data. The 5000 series shows only non-confidential information, and the 6000 series does show confidential information. There will be a video on those reports eventually.